Hello and welcome to coverage of round 14 here at Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. Marie Bertholdi in the booth, joined by Numat the Nummy himself, Kenji Igashira. Here we see a match between Jack Dobbin and Matt Nass, currently ranked number 15 in the World Pro Tour Kaladesh top 8. He got 6th in that, as well as a GP win just recently in Hartford for Modern, playing Clark Clan Ironworks.
Yeah, good old scrap trawler.
Well, if you can't play Scrap Trawler, how about a Skittering Surveyor here?
Yeah, I'm sure that's pretty similar in this given format, yeah. 3 mana, 2 toughness, artifact, gets you some value.
Goes and finds Matt Nass a mountain. Daneth the Caption, Paragon on Jack Dobbin's side of the battlefield. Call the Cavalry will add a couple of knights as well.
It looks like Jack favors these white aggressive decks. We saw him in the previous draft with the blue-white Flyers list. And I think Jack was, what, 9-0 on day one?
Yes.
Yeah, so didn't have a great showing after the first draft, but well, he's still live for top 8. Matt Nass must have been one of the 7-2s coming in today.
Yeah.
And so he's ran the table for the last 4 rounds.
He actually was 8-1 coming in today.
Oh, he was?
Yep.
Okay, he was 8-1, so.
Yeah, so
Good
Jack
start for both
Dobbin
these
here.
players.
Jousting lance on one of these knights. But one of the knights is going to be sacrificed here to the Eldest Reborn from Matt Nass.
Yeah, and you can see how much respect Matt Nass has for Danitha and some of these other creatures. In fact, Matt Nass just has a load of removal right now. Vicious Offering,
Yeah.
Goblin Barrage, Eldest Reborn. He's going to systematically just take care of Jack since, Jack had that early aggression. We already see Matt down to 8, but now Matt has stabilized and he's going to get some great value from that Eldest Reborn.
And yeah, Jack here forced to discard from that Eldest Reborn. It's a red card. We can see he's missing a color of mana. Meanwhile, Matt Nass, all 3 Jund colors. Llanowar Envoys play here for Matt. Dauntless Bodyguard withdraw here for Dobbin. This is kind of an illustration how this card, well, Dobbin's up against it right now. Matt Nass is going to get a creature back here once Chapter 3 fires. But Dauntless Bodyguard, can be good early if you want some extreme aggression, and good later in the game despite being a 1-mana card.
Yeah, so Matt's going to be able to get back Danitha if he chooses to. And that's not only a really good blocker, but it's also a really good attacker on this board. Luckily for Jack, he does have that Dauntless Bodyguard giving his Knight token potential indestructibility.
Skin Witch is going to get to the last 2 cards in Jack Dobbin's hand. Both of them red. We can see a Valda, Keeper of the Flame, and a Keldon Overseer had to hit the bin.
Look at the cards that Matt Nass has played so far.
Right.
1-for-1 Vicious Offering, 1-for-1 Goblin Barrage, basically a 2-for-1 Skittering Surveyor, 3-for-1 Eldest Reborn. Calico Skin Witch, is basically another 3-for-1. So
all aboard the value train.
Yeah.
Matt Nass is the captain. Wait, are you the captain? Conductor. That's what you are.
Of a train, yes.
I'm the captain of this train. All right, Dauntless Bodyguard here is just going to have to wear this Jousting Lance.
Yeah, so looks like the Knight attacked into Danitha, and Danitha quickly traded away. So with these style of decks, Matt probably has a few top-end bomb cards that he's looking to draw to. Oh, and that's another good way to dig towards them.
Dark Bargain costs Matt Nass 4 mana and 2 life.
The nice thing is Matt can actually bin a relevant creature here, and because he has 2 Memorial to Folly, he can return it back later on.
He's just going to put a land in there, though, this time around. It looks like he's an Eviscerate in hand as well.
I saw that, yeah.
Envoy gets in. And just pass the turn back to Jack Dobbin, who is living off the top of his library. The Dauntless Bodyguard carrying 2 swords now, Short Sword and a Jousting Lance. Calico Skin Witch just chumps here. Skittering Surveyor is the card he gets back here with Memorial to Folly.
Sure, why not? It replaces the Memorial itself and also gives him another chump blocker for another turn. Buys in more time.
All right, let's go get another land. We've got a Windgrace Acolyte adding to the team as well. Is that another Memorial to Folly in play for Matt Nass?
Yeah, he had 2.
Excellent. So here, this mill that Matt's going to do to himself is not going to be that bad. Also gains 3 life off of the Cat Warrior.
Sap Herd Scout in a land, I believe, where the mill's there.
Yeah, and the Sap Herd gives him 2 blockers if he wants for the Surveyor.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jack, he's just living off that top deck now that he used all his resources. Again, he's the aggressive deck, so not being able to dispatch of Matt in quick fashion here, it's going to mean that in the long run, Matt is probably going to take this game over.
Thallid Omnivore here and another Envoy for Matt Nass. Omnivore, pretty impressive card. The Envoy we've seen a number of times, mostly serving as a 3/2. I think I've seen it fix mana once. That Dauntless Bodyguard, though. Dauntless indeed, continuing to hit the red zone for Dobbin.
So if you're Matt, you got to think, okay, well, if I don't block this, is there anything that I can lose to? And Jack, not having double red or 9 lands, couldn't just die to some random fight with fire. Matt's got to be like, okay, can I kill him on the backswing if I don't block? Do I have an extra creature in my hand? And, you know, he could potentially just chump here with the Envoy if he wanted to, because he has that aforementioned Sap Herd in the graveyard. So what he can do next turn is use the Folly, get back the Sap Herd, and then sack it to the Omnivore and get in for lethal if Jack doesn't have another follow-up play here.
Dauntless Bodyguard guarding a bodyguard. We've gone full Inception on this board state here.
Looks like Jack is just going to main phase, use his Memorial to Glory, and he's got some nice blockers now, although Matt is still in pretty full control. Remember, Matt's been sandbagging that Eviscerate as well. I think he's probably just going to hold that for a little while longer. There's no much reason to kill any of these smaller creatures. Maybe if Jack played something like a Sarah Angel, yeah, there's going to be merit to do that, because you want your flyer to keep getting in. But play the Sap Herd here, tackle your 2 biggest creatures, and, you know, make Jack forced to block the Omnivore now that the Sap Herd hit the battlefield.
Pretty good attack there, sends Jack Dobbin down to 7. Both of these players sitting at 2 losses, so don't want to give one up here. Keep their hopes of the top 8 alive. Nass is going to take a look through Dobbin's graveyard.
Yeah, in this position, it's so hard for Jack. I think he does have to equip, say, the short sword back to the Dauntless Bodyguard, attack in for 5, and just try to push some damage in, even if Matt has, you know, 3 blockers, just to soak up some damage if he wants to. He needs to try to force something.
Because you're not winning by hanging back.
Yeah, well, yeah, the flyer will just kill you in that rate,
right.
But
Jack Dobbin from Chicago. He's been on the Pro Tour a few times. Top 8 at Grand Prix Orlando in 2017. Claims to be the best Magic player at basketball. Wow. I think Marshall might have something to say about that. All right, just the Dauntless Bodyguard getting in here, attacking with the Jousting Lance equipped. Sapperling goes down for the cause. Keldon Warcaller here for Dobbin. Just a 2/2.
yeah, I still don't see too much of a reason here for Matt to eviscerate. Oh, especially with that Deathbloom Thallid the draw now. So there's a force block on at least the Omnivore, and there's a force block on either the Sap Herd or the Envoy, because in conjunction with the Acolyte, those would also present lethal.
All right, there we go. Dobbin lines up the blocks. We're going to sacrifice the Deathbloom Thallid to the Omnivore.
And we are clearing the board, but man, that favored Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jack Dobbin just going to scoop him up here. Matt Nass taking down game 1 here in this match versus Jack Dobbin, both players at 11-2 as they battle to stay alive for top 8. Warcaller the first play here for Dobbin. Skinwitch, though, very good at blocking early on 1-3.
Yeah, unfortunate for Jack. The 2-2's just chilling there, both of them.
Yeah. Danitha can gain some life, but, well, there's a Llanowar Envoy is going to come down as well for Matt Nass.
Yeah, Jack can still attack with both these creatures here. At the very worst, he's either trading or getting in for 2 damage.
Right.
And Danitha gaining life is not irrelevant, of course. Ooh, a Teshar.
Ooh, Teshar. This seems very good in Jack's deck.
Yeah, I think it's just a good card in general. What historic cards do we see from him? We saw Jousting Lance and a Short Sword,
yep,
at least, in addition to that Danitha. And that gives him some extra reach. Now, it's going to probably be a high priority target for Matt if he has a removal spell, just because it's also a flyer. So it would make a lot of sense if Matt, say, eviscerated it when he had 4 lands available to him. Did look like Matt missed a land drop, though.
Okay, Matt here lining up a double block in front of this Danitha.
Yeah, so this is either a bluff or Jack has to have something here because both those creatures are 1/3s.
Wow, down she goes, but back she comes.
Yep, and the answer was just he had another historic spell.
The Keeper of the Flame is present. Sap Parrot here for Matt Nass. Back over to Dobbin.
Honestly, though, I think this position is okay for Matt if he does, in fact, have an Eviscerate in hand. As soon as he hits his 4th land, he just kills the flyer, and then Jack's board doesn't really do much versus what Matt already has developed out. Any following historic card from Jack, though, does keep him attacking with any of the ground creatures, like if he has another sword or anything like that, then yeah.
Well, here they come.
All right. Because on the surface of this, you don't like trading your 3/1 for a 1/1 Sapperling, but
no,
if you can just get your creatures back anyways, then hey, absolutely.
This is pretty cool, seeing Teshar do some work. Trying to get a peek at what's in Dobbin's hand, not 100% sure.
I think that might be a Blessed Light.
That's what I was thinking. And that another Keldon Warcaller is not a historic spell. All right, so we're going to Blessed Light on the Sap Herd. Very aggressive.
Yeah, that's just to stop the trade on the Valduk. He still loses his 3/1. He doesn't have any historic cards in his hand. He is applying pressure to Matt, but again, if Matt can just find another land and get out of this land rut, I think he'll probably be okay.
Matt Nass currently at 12 life, Jack Dobbin 26 thanks to that Danitha. Doing some work here in the game. And there's a Shivan Fire to take care of Teshar.
And just like that, Matt's in good shape, I think.
Oh, there we see another activation of the Envoy's ability.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like just another Warcaller and a Benalige Honor Guard in hand for Jack.
And we just see why, 2/2s in this format, even in draft where it's a little bit faster, aren't that great if you don't have the ways to back them up. We do know Jack has at least 2 equipment in his deck, but unless he finds those, Matt can just sit back on these 1/3s and kind of laugh.
Yeah, and this is something I've been wondering too, that's kind of a big signal. How good is just a 2/2 in this format, which is what those Warcallers are?
Answer, not good enough.
Not good enough.
That was a very good draw for Jack, though.
Jousting Lance.
Wow, so he has a ton of options here. He can either equip it to the Valduk, get a 3/1, which can just freely attack into any of Matt's creatures. He can also put it on the Danitha to make it a 5/2 first strike, although Matt would have multi-block opportunities.
Suit up the Valduk. Get into battle. Man, I love those Fire Elementals from that Valduk.
Yeah, so what he can do here is he can attack with his token that's going to be produced. He can also attack with the Honor Guard, as it is a 4/2.
Yeah, that addition to power on the Honor Guard, not always something that is too relevant, here at least. doing some work.
I think if you're Jack, you're okay with attacking with the Honor Guard here in addition to the Elemental, because even if Matt double blocks with 2 1-3s, you want to get all the 1-3s that you can off the battlefield when you have 3 more 2-2s sitting behind the battle lines.
There's that 3-1 Elemental attacking as well. Everybody comes on in.
All right, so Jack, if he's making this attack, realizes that he just needs to force action right away. He knows Matt's been stumbling on lands, which is true, right? And so by giving Matt more turns, he's giving him more opportunity, especially when Matt has nothing but spells in hand and Jack is just living off the top of the deck.
Great point. A lot of times you just have to force through damage and hope your opponent can't stabilize when you're playing a deck like Jack is. You can see these War Callers being blocked by a pair of 1-3s. The Envoy here attempting a trade with the Honor Guard. Valduk and the token getting through.
Yeah, I mean, that's 8 damage.
Wow. Matt Nass down to 4.
Yeah. Jack's played his last few draft decks very, very well. He knows the game plan. He knows what he needs to do. And he's putting it in action.
Okay, well, we've just got 2 more permanents added to the battlefield here for Matt Nass. The Sap Herd's bringing along a Saproling token.
Yeah, notably that token represents 2 life as well for Matt Nass, who can sacrifice it to the Omnivore.
All right, well, here's combat, and just the Elemental token is going to get in for Dobbin. I love it. Free attackers. Yep, and here you go. Omnivore is going to sack the Saproling, eat it, gain a couple of life here for Nass, goes back up to 6. Surveyor for Nass helps him find some more land here. He's going to go get a swamp. Not a mountain.
Extra fodder for the Omnivore, too. Not too shabby.
Throws the turn back over to Dobbin. Immediately enters combat here with that Elemental once again. Yep, and more food. Omnivore is hungry.
I mean, this isn't insignificant, right? At least Jack is taking off, even if it's a small creature, 1 off of Matt's board every turn.
Absolutely.
And this makes sense from Matt's perspective, right? You don't care about these creatures. That one specifically already got its land value. You just want to make your land drops and get to your more expensive, powerful cards.
All right, here we go. Eldest Reborn. Down goes a War Caller for Jack Dobbin in Chapter 1. In comes the Elemental Creature token. And yeah, you know, Matt Nass just having to keep throwing creatures in front of it. No play. Just lands for Dobbin, I believe, in hand. 1 to discard to Chapter 2. Chapter 3, we'll see Matt Nass getting something back.
You know, he could get the Tashar back himself, and then anytime he casts Historic card, he can get all that value back from the graveyard. Oof. That'd be kind of nasty.
I was wondering, I was like, does he want Tashar? He's at 6.
Could also just get Danitha.
Or do we want Danitha
right?
to gain life from those Trampler, from those Elemental tokens? Here comes the Elemental once again. And in swings the whole team for Jack Dobbin this time. The heat is on.
So it's likely that he drew something here. That or he's hoping that Matt makes excuse me, some kind of a mistake. He realizes, you know, this might be the last good turn that I have to attack with these creatures, as if Matt gets back Danitha, what are my 2 toughness creatures going to do?
Nass lining up blocks here. A couple of scouts on Valduk. The Omnivore blocks the Elemental token, and the Sap Herd. It's a bear-on-bear fight. The War Caller.
So this looks like he's probably playing around a run amok on the Valduk.
Run amok on Valduck. Oh, what luck! Okay, here we go. We had first strike resolving.
So before damage resolves, and Matt is now tapped out.
Yep,
So
run
he
amok.
does have a run amok. Okay, that's going to deal with the Omnivore, and Matt's going to still take a little bit of trample damage there.
And you know, we've talked a number of times this weekend about how important it is to make sure you let your first strike damage all resolve.
Oh, you know what? Did Jack miss? Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say, did Jack miss lethal? But, of course, Matt let first strike damage resolve first on the Valduck, which is why Jack wasn't able to run amok there after the fact.
All right, so it looks like Nass is getting back Tayshar.
Yeah, and let's see if he has a... is that a Lich's
Mastery? Okay, try to win the game now, Jack. This card is really silly.
Yeah, it does a lot of things, and remember, it itself has hexproof, so even if Jack drew like an Invoke the Divine, he would not be able to target.
So it has hexproof. It says you can't lose the game. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life for each life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. All right, we're going deep here.
Yeah, that's effectively gaining, I mean, upwards of 10 plus life for Matt right now, just because he already has so many creatures in his graveyard, and he has so many permanents on the battlefield that he doesn't mind sacrificing.
Okay, so Matt
like
here taking 3 is going to exile 3 from the graveyard.
Right. And he can also choose cards from his hand or sacrifice permanents.
I love this so much. He brought it in out of the board.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a better sideboard card than, well, a lot of things. Maybe just a creature. But it can potentially buy him time. It is good.
I wish he had Danitha now.
Or at least better in this position later in the game when he has, you know, already filled up his graveyard. I have to imagine, though, that's a sideboard card and not something that he originally had. Oh, okay. Lich's Mastery is going to draw him 3 cards.
Wow, this is great. Yeah, Windgrace Acolyte, you gain 3. Draw 3.
Yeah, it's actually one of the best cards to go along with the Mastery because it also fills your graveyard itself, right?
Right.
Yep.
And he has 2 Memorials to Folly still in play.
The dream, and I hope Matt has it, gain 10. just a little Croson scout. Sorry, Druid.
All right, here we go. Vicious Offering takes down Valduck finally. And Matt Nass was able to get an attack in there. Here he goes again. This is sweet. Lich's Mastery confirmed.
Yeah.
Ultimate Bomb.
Dobbin is Dob.
All right, so we're going to get back the Skittering Surveyor with Memorial to Folly here. Plays the Yavimaya Sapherd, more creatures on the battlefield to go. Just draws a mountain, lands in hand. Matt Nass taking down that match versus Jack Dobbin, going to 12-2. That was pretty cool, Kenji.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think he needed it, but it was definitely flashy.
Oh, he needed it. I needed to see that. I mean, he didn't gain 10 with a Croson Druid like you, but you know what? Not everyone can be you, Kenji. It's just the way.
It was good. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff there. We've been seeing wild stuff in draft and sealed all weekend. More Magic action after this. Hi there, welcome back to the booth. Maria Bartholdi, Kenji Igashira, Numa Thanami here covering Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. We're playing Dominaria Draft today here on day 2 as we edge ever closer to our top 8. We are still in round 14, however, and we've got another match to show you. Andrew Ellenbogen versus Dan Kaufman. All right. Both players at 11 and 2, fighting to stay alive here. Our cut to the top 8 happens quite soon.
Tournament lives on the line.
Yep. Oh no, somebody get that dice out of there.
No, 4. 4.
Oh.
4.
Dear Lord.
4.
Another player leaned in and did it. I love it. Tetsuko here for Kaufman. Ellenbogen just with a Spore Crown Thallid.
And these are just small things, but it's something that Andrew can, take note of, that Dan didn't want to trade 1 damage for 2 damage there. He wanted to leave the 1/3 to potentially block.
Sure. And what does that say to you?
It just means maybe Dan's hand is slower, maybe his deck is slower. I mean, trading 1 damage for 2 damage.
Just a bad idea generally.
Not always a good idea, depending on how your deck is formed,
Girl from the Ashes here finds Ellenbogen a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Just a card that's been fantastic, especially in Sealed this weekend.
Yeah, I think a lot of people took that card very highly during the drafting portion, which is why you probably didn't see too many of them
right
in our individual drafts.
All right, so Andrew's going to pass a turn back here. Over to Kaufman, no play. 5 mana available. Excavation Elephant here for Kaufman. Tetsuko swinging in for 1.
Yeah, Daniel there making sure that the elephant resolved first before deciding to attack in with a Tetsuko, as Andrew does have plenty of blue mana open. Syncopate, Wizard's Retort, that type of thing.
Spore Swarm is the play he had in mind. We're going to get 3 Saproling tokens.
Those are actually a little bit buffer than you would first expect, right?
Oh,
That Spore
yes.
Crown Thallid making them 2/2s. Now, the elephant here can still just squash all those saplings, but even just like an Academy Journey Mage here from Andrew would really put Daniel in a rough
that'd
spot.
be nice. I think he's got Blink of an Eye.
That's good enough too.
But instead, we're going to play the Mirari
wow.
Conjecture. All right.
This might be the first time we've seen this card cast
It is for me.
on coverage this weekend.
Chapter 1, return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. 2, return a sorcery card. 3, until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, copy it. You may choose new targets for that copy. And here we see an Invoke the Divine on that, so Kaufman here respecting the Conjecture.
Yeah, you're not going to put the Mirari Conjecture into every deck, but there are decks, and especially if you can get the Conjecture early, where it does really shine. We saw there that Andrew was able to get back his Spore Swarm, which represents 3 more 2/2s at instant speed, and he was going to be able to get back that Grow from the Ashes, right? So when the Mirari Conjecture would finally get to that 3rd chapter...
He has Divination in hand.
Oh, yeah, see, he would have been able to either draw 4 cards or make 6 Saplings.
Or bounce.
Or bounce 2 things. Or get 4 lands. It's obviously very, very potent.
That's pretty cool. All right, big swing here after that Blink of an Eye from Ellenbogen. Divination. Draws a couple of cards over to Kaufman. But Andrew's been able to really put the pressure on there with that Blink.
Yeah, that was a good attack, but Daniel still had a very healthy amount of life.
Sarah Angel here from Kaufman.
And this is another important turn for, both Daniel and Andrew. If Andrew has something that can deal with the Sarah Angel, then, Daniel's pretty much done for. On the reverse, if Andrew doesn't have something for Daniel, then Daniel knows, okay, phew, now I can start bashing him with my Sarah Angel. I feel a little bit more confidence.
Right, I see a Blood Tallow Candle in hand for Andrew.
All right, let's blow out the lights on that Angel.
Good night. And I think we're going to see a Saproling attack here. Not the Spore Crown Thallid. That's going to hang back just in case.
Yeah, Andrew should know that Daniel doesn't have a Gideon's Reproach. Otherwise, Daniel would have used it last turn on the Spore Crown Thallid, but he's maybe representing or playing around an Adamant Will.
All right, the elephant comes on back for Dan. Back over to Andrew.
So I think at this point, Andrew's probably just going to be on the go wide plan. Getting a 4-4 flyer though on the board while your opponent just lost their Saint Angel is pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
Now Daniel does have an Academy Journey Mage that Drake is a prime target for that, just to buy him a little bit more time. Oh.
Ooh, how about this? On Sarah's wings on that elephant.
Okay.
It's Dumbo.
That is pretty darn good. 4/6
Wow.
Vigilance Flying Lifelink, legendary elephant. Presumably Andrew has used most of his resources up. Right? Daniel knows that one of the cards in Andrew's hand, or at least should recall, that Spore Swarm was returned.
And 6 toughness, remarkably hard to deal with.
Yep, not even another candle would deal with that. Ah, so this must be a Shivan Fire. This is the only reason why Andrew would block and throw away his Drake. And so if you're Daniel, if you have anything to deal with that, you know that's what's going to happen at end of turn. But if you can't do anything about it, I mean, you're not terribly upset about this trade. You'd rather have the creature still, but you got a 4/4 fly and a Shivan Fire out of your opponent's hand, and you still gain 4 life.
Wow, on Sarah's wings, so powerful. Ellen Bogan still able to attack in with 3 2/2s here this turn. Still holding back that Spore Crown Thallid.
Yeah, but Daniel just under so much pressure, he knows that a Spore Swarm is going to be coming out, and even though he can bounce one of these 2/2 tokens, the 3/2 itself is just not great versus the 2/2s.
Okay, here it looks like we're going to see a draw 2 from this Memorial to Genius. Spore Swarm here will add more Saprolings to the battlefield. That's Spore Crown Thallid doing overtime here on this board.
Yeah, Andrew respecting something like an Unwind in response, or maybe drawn off of the Memorial.
Short Sword here for Kaufman.
Short Sword is not going to be good enough. It's a little too short.
Also one of those quasi-Nambos with a card like Tetsuko.
Yeah, Daniel just dead on board here if Andrew elects to go for it.
Oh yeah, Sentinel of the Pearl Trident flashed in end of turn there for Andrew. I think he drew a Saga. I'm interested to find out what it is, but like you said, just swing on in.
He doesn't even have to attack with the Spore Crown. So, not too much to think about here. Even a Reproach, you know, Daniel's still going to fall down to such low health that doesn't really matter there.
All right, Andrew Ellenbogen taking game 1 there over Dan Kaufman. Looking to keep top 8 dreams alive for both of these players. One more round to play after this. We get a chance to see after round 15 our top 8 draft. All right, Tetsuko once again for Kaufman versus the Llanowar Elves.
Yeah, Andrew elected not to attack with his Llanowar Elf on the previous turn. Maybe playing again around a Reproach. Maybe he has a counter of some sort in his hand. Multiple reasons why he wouldn't do that.
Called the Cavalry here for Kaufman. Brings in a couple of Knights.
And so if I'm in Daniel's seat, I'm saying, okay, well, he probably doesn't have a counter if he didn't counter my Cavalry there.
Mirari Conjecture in hand for Ellenbogen, by the way.
Not so good this game, although it did look like he also had a Divination in hand, potentially. Oh, maybe not.
I see Sentinel of the Pearl Trident.
Okay. So he can flash in that 3/3. Maybe threaten to eat one of those 2/2s. It looks like Daniel has some answers to it, so he's probably free to ship in here.
There is the Sentinel now. Block, eat a Knight token. Pretty good.
Let's see what Daniel Kaufman does second main then. As
Elephant.
okay.
And I believe he has Onsera's wings in hand once again, as well as a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I was wondering why maybe he didn't elect to bounce the Sentinels there, but maybe he just wants to get that extra card. Maybe he'd rather just develop out the 3/5. But if you do blink of an eye on your opponent's Sentinel there, you're setting them back a turn basically, while also preserving your 2/2.
All right, deep freeze. He's going to have that Elephant chill out for Kaufman. 0-4 wall with Defender. Fun fact about Dan Kaufman, got second in an ear-wiggling contest at summer camp when he was 12. Well done, Dan.
Very fun fact.
Kenji has been practicing his ear-wiggling here in the booth.
I'm supposed to tell them that.
I'm sorry, but it was too cool. He said his ear muscles got tired.
True statements. Some of you might be wondering why Journey Mage didn't bounce the Elephant. You can only bounce your opponent's creatures. So.
Yep, relevant here. Kind of setting Kaufman's game plan a little bit back, as I'm sure he wanted to equip those wings onto that Elephant again. Tetsuko in the Journey Mage here, coming in for combat.
I might have been tempted just to use the Sarah's Wings on the Journey Mage this turn when you know the opponent is probably just holding up that 3/3 flash, but he could also have another card to develop out here this turn. We'll see.
Pearl Trident does indeed flash in and block that Journey Mage. Trading away. I want to know, too, what you think of Tetsuko in just like a deck where you're not trying to build around or do anything tricky with 1 power or toughness creatures.
Oh, it's completely fine. We've seen the 1/3s for 2 mana just be kind of brick walls versus the more aggressive decks. It also just pokes in damage here and there when you have a free turn to do so. You know, it's just very annoying and a card that you're happy to have on curve.
All right, Primordial Worm here from Ellen Bogan.
No second blue source yet for Daniel, who still has that blink of an eye chilling in his hand. This is simply a trade.
Yeah, we're going to crack that candle to take down the worm after blocking a knight.
But, you know, Daniel doesn't have much pressure right now. Just that lone Tetsuko. And 11-turn clock is not a very quick clock, giving time for Andrew to dig into his other colors.
And there it is.
Other more powerful cards.
Llanowar Envoy here for Ellen Bogan. Alongside those Llanowar Elves. Mirari Conjecture in hand, still waiting to see if we can see something cool happen with that this game. Tetsuko in again for another 1, drops Andrew down to 10. Kaufman still at 20.
Yeah, just passing the turn now.
3 cards left in hand.
I mean, this still just certainly favors Andrew here, who has a deck that lines up really well versus Daniel's.
Yeah, Wizard's Lightning here takes down.
And you know why he's doing this main phase. Conjecture all day.
Here we go.
Yep.
Mirari Conjecture. Let's get back that Wizard's Lightning. It resolves. All right, Wizard's Lightning back to hand.
Divination is the second saga, or rather second chapter going to be revealed.
Blink of an eye here is going to send the Deep Freeze to the graveyard, blinking his own Elephant.
Yeah, that's some good value because he also has that candle still in the graveyard. So, I mean, this is going to be a little bit more of a grindy game, but I think Andrew is still favored here. Not often you see a kicked elephant.
No. I kind of forgot it had that ability.
Yeah.
But it is an excavation elephant, so it gets back that Blood Tallow Candle. Chapter 2 here of the Mirari Conjecture is going to get back that Divination for Andrew.
Look how many cards Andrew still had in his hand. Just
I know, it's sick.
He has Wizard's Lightning, he has Divination.
I think he has an Adeliza Cinderwind.
Wow, okay, so Adeliz going off on the turn where the Conjecture is going to copy a spell is kind of cute.
Let's get some more wizards. Okay, we're going to kick this sapling migration, adding 4 little sappies to the battlefield. These saplings were the key to Andrew winning game number 1 alongside a Spore Crown Thallid.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to pass up 3 mana, draw 4 next turn, with Daniel still at 20 life. He could consider using Wizard's Lightning to kill the elephant, because it'll be copied. The conjecture does every... Is it? Let me double check on my conjecture.
Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, so yeah.
Until end of turn, so it's
Until end
all
of
of them.
turn,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. All of them.
Pierce the Sky here takes down the glider.
And here we go.
All right. Chapter 3.
It's going to be a fun turn for Andrew.
I love seeing this happen. Divination. I will copy this. I will draw 4 for 3. Thank you.
Also, you should not offer
Take that opportunity.
by any means that is not playing a game of Magic. So not only dices,
Still 5 mana left here.
cards from the company library.
Actually 6 counting the elves.
And he has his Sulfur Falls behind that mountain, so he can go Adeliz plus Wizard's Lightning if he really wanted to.
Grow from the
Oh
ashes.
my.
Finds 4 lands as it was kicked as well. How many lands does he have left in his deck?
And remember, Grow from the Ashes puts the lands onto the battlefield untapped.
So he has more mana.
Right.
Oh, this is great.
This Grow from the Ashes was basically 1 mana to cast, right?
And here's Wizard's Lightning taking down the elephant.
Right, because the copy's also killing or targeting the elephant.
And swinging.
And this isn't even a very impressive attack. It's only for 8 damage, but just so much value accrued from Andrew. What a turn.
I love that turn. I'm sad it's over. But yeah, I thought Kaufman had another Blood Tallow Candle in hand, and sure enough. Would you like to kill one of my saplings?
At least he can deal with the Llanowar Envoy, which is the largest of the creatures, but my gosh.
All right, here is Adeliz flashing in. Hasty attacker. Ooh, a fight with fire. Fight with fire. Target you. Wizard's Retort!
Okay.
Oh. Well, we're still going to get a...
I mean, that doesn't really
Trigger.
matter. It probably feels good to counter,
Yeah.
but Daniel here still
10.
dying next turn. Wow, can you imagine a copied Mirari's Conjecture? Or sorry, a copied Fight with Fire with Mirari's Conjecture?
Oh, yes. I can imagine it, and it is glorious. Well, that was a really cool game. Andrew Ellenbogen, congratulations winning that one. One more round to go before our cut to top 8 here at Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth Dominaria Limited all weekend long. We've been having a great time. It seems like every round we see something cool happening, and we've got more magic for you. We're not done yet. Let's take another look here from round 14. Robert Brown versus Billy Hahn. Both players on 12 and 1.
Wow. Good shape.
All right.
Destinies are their own.
Yes. Right where you want to be. Memorial to Folly there for Billy. A couple of mountains for Robert Brown.
We watched Robert during the drafting portion, and remember he had taken the Knight of Grace over the Traxos, and I don't want to say he was rewarded, but he ended up with a playable red-white deck, for sure.
And there is his planes. Praying he could find that on the top of his library.
Yeah, I don't think we got to take a look at what Billy Hahn was doing. Black-white has been a common draft theme throughout the day.
In for 3, hasty damage with a Keldon Overseer for Robert Brown. Knocks Billy Hahn down to 17. Yeah, I remember his deck, and it was just, red, white, aggro. That's just what
Yep.
it was. Pretty straightforward.
Well, and see, now we see the issue here with, like, Robert has multiple Keldon Overseers, but if Billy has one of these type of cards, Call the Cavalry, where you get 2 creatures with 1 card, well, you're just trading down every single time.
All right, run amok in hand for Robert Brown. In swings the Overseer. So it's a little bit of insight into Matt Nass boarding in that Lich's Mastery in that game we
Yes.
saw. He apparently sideboarded it in because Sam Black told him it was playable.
It was pretty good there.
He says, it was pretty good there. Indeed it was. The glider here for Robert Brown.
All right, Billy not opting to take the trade for the Keldon Overseer either means he has some removal in his hand that he doesn't mind using. Maybe he's waiting until he has untapped mana to where he can block with a 2/2. If Robert tries to do something cute, he can respond with, say, like a Gideon's Reproach. Otherwise, he just likes racing here, as 2/2s are going to be pretty good versus Robert's overall deck.
Triumph of Gerard here. In Chapter 1, we'll make a 3/3 knight.
And just like that, he's basically equalized the life totals.
Blood Tello Candle. Yeah, Triumph of Gerard has been one of those sagas that people have been less impressed with,
Mm-hmm.
but could do some swinging with life totals this game, especially when Robert Brown his game plan is to try and get Han dead as quickly as possible.
Well, this is where Robert's probably going to get in trouble. I think Billy was setting this turn up really nicely.
Ooh, Gideon's Reproach, though.
Yes, exactly how he set it up. So he didn't block the previous turn because he didn't want to get blown out by a trick like that, even though it would still be like
Right.
a 1 for 1 point, or 1 for a 0.5, since only one of his tokens would be lost. But by waiting a turn, not only did he get in for extra damage, but he was also able to bait out a trick and respond by holding up some extra mana for that Gideon's Reproach. And so now this game is firmly in Billy's control because Robert, stuck on lands, wasn't able to develop out a card, instead opting to use a combat trick to deal with one of Billy's, but got him.
Yeah, that was a really nice play by Billy Han.
Further problem is he's going to have a 4/4 life-linking flyer
Yes.
attacking him the following turn. I think that's a Dreadshade?
That's a Dreadshade.
Okay.
A lot that Robert is being forced to deal with right now, and all he has is a creature that can't block.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick go to game 2.
All right. I love this, I guess this thing attacks. On down to 10. Looks like he might be adding up the damage. All right, and Invoke the Divine, aimed at that Triumph of Gerard here, is going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Gain 4 life.
And if Billy had an Invoke of his own, he could counteract Roberts and then swing in for lethal. But this still might be good enough. Does he have 13 damage?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
He must have done the math quicker than we
13.
did.
Yep,
That looks like 13
that's
it
13.
is.
There's a handshake. That was fast.
Wow.
Billy Han. That was game number 2, so taking that match down here in round 14, Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. Whew, that was a blink and you missed it.
Yeah, he's 13-1 now, so pretty
Wow.
good position to make the top 8.
Keep that in mind as we head towards round 15, getting into the final round here before our cut to top 8 at the tournament. More Magic after this.